Hello, everybody, and welcome in to the 4-3 show. We are live right after Monday Night Football. We had a terrific finish to the game. I'm your host, Ryan Blank. I'm alongside Pat Fortuna, Parker Dunn, and Dominic Stern. Gentlemen, how are we doing tonight?
Pretty good.
I'm doing good. That was a much better game than I was expecting, so we'll take it.
Yeah, I can't complain. All is well.
Okay, talking about the game, that last call, I want to ask you guys, is it pass interference on Antoine Winfield?
It was a bad throw by Daniel Jones is what it was.
Yeah.
I don't think that necessarily negates it being pass interference. I think that at that point in the game, you can't say that's pass interference. I feel like you just got to let him play. But I think if it's at an earlier point in the game, they call that nothing. Like it stands as pass interference. He hit him early before the ball got to him. Granted, yes, that might have had something to do with the pass, but regardless, it happened. It was a catchable ball. So you could call it pass interference, but it's not a fight that I think anyone was willing to have.
Yeah.
Right.
Either way. It's a bang bang.
I saw a funny tweet that said the refs got together and said, "Hey, we don't want to get overtime. Let's just pick the flag up and move on with our lives." I thought that was pretty funny. But Daniel Jones needs to get the ball out earlier. It's one of the things he struggles with. He's got the arm talent. He's got the speed. Just the mental processing of a defense and placing the ball in the right spot. Something he struggled with. He struggled with all game. Throw to Golden Tate to set up that 2-point conversion was very good, but he still's got ways to go, and I would not be surprised if the Giants select a quarterback in this draft.
Yeah, I don't think that's PI. Yeah, did Winfield get there a little bit early? He did. But ultimately, I put that on Daniel Jones. He had Dion Lewis open for a few seconds, and he should have threw it to him. That play is designed for a quick pass to Dion Lewis if you're going to go that way, and he didn't deliver it in time. So that's why I think that it's on Daniel Jones. But that throw to Golden Tate was a terrific throw. Darius Slayton made a terrific play as well to extend the drive and keep them alive in the game, but ultimately came down to that 2-point conversion. So let's get into it. Our first topic of the night, Trevor Lawrence, Clemson star quarterback and future number 1 draft pick, tests positive for COVID-19. But the Tigers won last week in a close one against Boston College, and this week travel to face Notre Dame. What do you guys think about Lawrence testing positive and the effects that it could have this week?
Can I say what I said to you, Dom? I said, imagine the banger of a Clemson party this dude was at getting ready for Halloween weekend when he caught this COVID. I mean, you know what? It's just fun. I'm sure he might have caught it inadvertently, but it is really funny to think, oh, college quarterback. This dude was probably at a party. Everybody, Trevor. I mean, he's such a high-ranked prospect. Everybody at Clemson probably loves the guy. And I guarantee he caught it in some dumb way. But even if he didn't, I mean, I hope he's doing well. I mean, I've heard he's doing fine. But, I'm not worried about Clemson. Isn't their backup a 5-star recruit? I mean,
yeah, he's the number 1 quarterback prospect of his class.
Yeah, exactly. Like, they're fine. I think they're going to beat Notre Dame. I have no doubt in my mind about that, but I guess we'll have to wait and see next week.
Yeah, that was a situation where, I mean, losing a guy like Trevor Lawrence, that's a huge loss. I mean, this is a team in Clemson that they're so deep at every position that when you insert a guy as talented as DJ, you can get by, but at the end of the day, he's going to be the first overall selection in the NFL draft for a reason, and you can't take it lightly when you know how long he's going to be out, and it's going to be a huge chance for true freshman DJ to step up to the plate and see what he's able to do. He was a monster at St. John Bosco, who ended up being the number 1 team in the nation, so he knows what it takes to carry a heavy load for a good team, so it's going to be interesting to see what he's able to do going forward as defenses start to focus in on him a little bit more. Because sure, it's easy to get thrown in there for one game and see how you do, but I'm curious to see how it carries over week to week.
Yeah, the quarterback for Clemson that filled in is DJ Uiagalelei. He went 30 of 41 for 342 yards and 2 touchdowns against Boston College, who is one of the best teams in the ACC. Now, of course, it's not really saying much considering where the ACC is at. But Boston College put up a good fight against them. You could definitely tell in the first half. Clemson wasn't ready for Boston College, definitely looking ahead to Notre Dame. So that should be another great game. They're not losing too much with Lawrence. Obviously, he's the number 1 overall pick in this upcoming draft. Either the Jets are going to pick him and move on from Sam Darnold, or they'll trade that pick and get a ton of value from it for someone who wants to change their franchise with Lawrence under the center. It's a big deal because, this dude, he's the face of college football. I don't think anyone's going to deny that. He's been the face of college football for the past couple of years. Joe Burrow kind of was last year, but going into the season, everyone's talking about Trevor Lawrence. And it's tough. And I don't think he necessarily got it as a party. Just like being at a college town, COVID runs rampant. Unless you go to Arizona State University, which we've done a great job. We'll see in the next couple of weeks, honestly, or next couple of days. But, we all hope Lawrence is doing well. They said he was dealing with some mild symptoms, but he'll be fine. He says he's going to be fine. Unfortunately, he will miss this game against Notre Dame. It's going to be a great game. I look forward to it. Can't wait, but hopefully Lawrence recovers.
Yeah, I think that I'm not going to want to botch his last name, so I'm just going to call him DJ. He did a great job filling in. Got him a win. So,
Uiagalelei.
One of those words.
Uiagalelei.
Yeah.
Uiagalelei. Whatever.
Agalele.
Uiagalelei. Got it. He played great. He came up big for them. This is going to be his first test going to Notre Dame, who's a very good team every year. A team that's very competitive. They've got great quarterback in Ian Book. I think it's going to be a close game. So it's going to be tough, but in the end, I'm going to say Clemson wins because they just got that sheer talent and great defense. So moving on, let's get into the NFL. Starting out today, we'll go into our Week 8 thoughts. What games stood out to you and what performances stood out to you guys this week?
It was a lot of fun to watch parts of. I didn't watch the whole game because my team's game happened to be on at the same time. Watch parts of Tua's debut. He didn't do too much that game really, but it's exciting because even though I wasn't really on the Tua train, he's still a very highly regarded player, a highly regarded prospect in the NFL. So to get to watch him play and to see the excitement in Miami, that was kind of something special because it's the same thing with Joe Burrow's first start. Everybody, all the hype around him, there's something exciting about that. So that was cool to see a new quarterback play.
Obviously we have the category for team performances, but for me, obviously anytime you see a 21-point comeback, that's a pretty big deal. That's an interesting game. So as Dom's cheering, as the Chargers choked again, what they've done the last couple of weeks as far as blowing leads is miraculous in itself, but blow a 21-point lead to Denver on the road, if you're the Chargers, that is a huge loss. That sucks because they're a team that isn't in a great state right now to try and make a push or to be a very competitive team going late into the year. But still, that's a big game. You saw what they could have done, what Herbert and Mike Williams were able to do, him and Keenan Allen. They connected. Herbert's looked very good, but to see them cough up that second half, especially that fourth quarter where the defense could not get a stop, that was just something I wasn't expecting because Denver's offense was quiet the entire first half, even bleeding into 3 quarters of the way through the third quarter. It was pretty rough to see offensively. So to see them push and find a way to win that game and the way that they did with that PI that set up the 1-yard line play to KJ Hamler, it was more the Chargers just not knowing how to close out a game than it was Denver knowing how to win one.
I'll highlight 2 games here just because they're very similar in ways that they're both 1-win teams defeating 5-win teams. The Bengals and Joe Burrow ended up defeating the Titans. The Tennessee Titans pass coverage has been exposed, really, is what it comes down to. Burrow didn't have a great game, but teams trying to pass the ball against them. We saw the Steelers do it. And that's why they went out and traded for Desmond King, which we'll talk about in a minute. The other one, the Vikings against the Packers. And everyone knew that the weakness of the Packers was their rush defense. And we really saw that with Dalvin Cook. 30 carries, 163 yards, 3 touchdowns. He's one of the best running backs in the league, when he gets going, the Vikings are a tough team to beat. He hasn't gotten going. That team is 2-5. You knew both these games were going to be closer than everyone was saying, just because if you took even a remote dive at all four of these teams, all these teams were playing in one possession games. And the Bengals and the Vikings have been on the wrong side of most of them. The Packers and the Titans have been on the right side of them. And for week 8, this was a role reversal for both those teams. The Bengals actually played a multi-possession game.
The one week I play or I pick against the Bengals.
Yeah, but it made zero sense to pick a 1-win team over a 5-win team. It just makes no sense.
I know, but I do it all the time, and I finally didn't, and it didn't pay off.
Yeah, no, you're right. It sucks, but what else can you say? Those two teams, they're going to have to find ways to bounce back. The Packers, they do play on Thursday Night Football against the 49ers, so they may have been looking ahead, and I forget who the Titans play this week, but it's not a joke game for sure. So we'll see how those teams rebound, and we'll see if the Bengals and Vikings can build off these wins.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the Titans are on bye this week. But my two games I want to highlight, I got to start off with the Steelers-Ravens. Great game. Great finish to that game as well. But Lamar Jackson did not have the best game. 13-28, just over 200 yards, two touchdowns,
when the quarterback's running back.
Says the Patriots fan.
It was a joke. But
I wanted to make sure our listeners got the joke.
Okay. I was also making fun of Lamar Jackson haters. Lamar Jackson's good, everybody. Get off his back.
And one of his
quarterback.
fumbles was him reaching out for the first down and fourth down. So don't follow him too much there.
No. I don't fault him for that decision. But passing the ball, he struggled a little bit. But the Steelers defense continues to make plays and be one of the – and the reason why they're top the AFC undefeated still. So that was a great game. The other game I got to recognize is Saints-Bears. That was a great finish to that game. Drew Brees came up big, had a solid game, 2 touchdowns. Cairo Santos, 51-yarder sent to OT. Will Lutz finishes it out. That was a great game. But my favorite game of the day had to be the Seahawks game. I really liked that Seahawks game. I thought it was a good game, partially because Russell Wilson played well, but the 49ers wouldn't go away. They kept fighting, which you always got to respect. We'll get into them later because they suffered even more injuries, but they made that game closer than it probably should have been. So moving on, does anyone have any key performances from this week they want to highlight?
I'll highlight J.K. Dobbins. He's finally getting some carries. He was averaging at one point through week 4 or 5, 9 yards a carry just because, he wasn't getting too many carries. But when he was getting the ball, he was being effective. They finally turned to him this week. They're leaning less towards Mark Ingram. He's an older running back. And if you know me, you know how I feel about running backs. Their life expectancy, it's not very long. J.K. Dobbins, the rookie out of Ohio State. He comes in, 15 carries, 113 yards.
You realize he only got that much because Mark Ingram was out, right?
Right, yeah. They're leaning less towards him. Yeah, exactly. Now, it's because Dobbins has also been better than Mark Ingram. And now that he's hurt, J.K. Dobbins is in the spotlight. So I'm good to see that Dobbins is doing this. We'll see if this helps the Ravens offense going forward.
Anyone else?
Yeah, I'll go with the no-brainer. It was Dalvin Cook. For all you fantasy owners that happen to have him, props to you. If you didn't win that week, then the rest of your team must be really bad because this man carried. He had a huge workload. He went up there and he dominated. He had 3 TDs. I believe it was right around 180 rushing yards. He had himself a day. So props to Dalvin Cook out there because he definitely showed out in a big rivalry game versus the Packers.
Yeah,
he also had a receiving touchdown too.
Yeah, he's the first ever player in NFL history to score a touchdown on their team's first 4 drives. That's pretty incredible. Like I already mentioned, the Packers' rush defense is just awful. It really got exposed this week. So we'll see if teams take advantage of that going forward.
Yeah, I got to give a shout out. You guys can say it's biased, whatever, but Mahomes looked terrific. Granted, it was against the Jets. His deep ball
Yeah.
accuracy was terrific.
It was
so-
against the Jets.
But still,
Move it
it was
along,
nice.
Casey.
Oh, come on. He still played great.
Hey, okay, he played great against one of the worst secondaries in the NFL.
I can
I
name
don't
more
care.
secondaries.
Let's see Cam Newton play against that defense. Next
Okay,
week.
we'll see it
Yeah, do
next
you think
week.
Cam
I
Newton will
would-
throw for
we'll
5
see
touchdowns? Do you think Cam Newton will throw
Oh,
for
we'll-
5 touchdowns?
we
He
will
might throw
get-
for
we
5
will get-
picks.
We will get to our team's performances in also Cam Newton's not making $300 million over 10 years. So let's move on. We'll get to our team's performances and I'll say my comments then.
Okay, you mentioned it. Let's get into our team performances, and we'll let Pat start this one.
All right. So this morning I was listening to some Boston talk radio where WEEI, they have they have Cam Newton, Bill Belichick. They have all of the big members of the New England Patriots on in the morning. And Bill Belichick made a really good point. And let me finish before you make a comment on it. He said, "We absolutely sold the farm over the past 10 years. We signed great players, great weapons, we paid everybody we could, and we got 3 Super Bowls out of it. Now, Cam Newton is on a 1-year, $1 million deal because that's all we can afford. We simply do not have the money to sign weapons. If we had the money to sign weapons, we'd be doing it. I mean, that's just the fact of the matter. And that's not an excuse. It's just the way it is. Of course, we're not going to be able to sign all these big weapons when we have a dime in the bank. We have nothing to work with. So the fact that the Patriots even have 2 wins right now is honestly a miracle, considering the fact that we have $0 in the bank. And we're not playing bad games. We aren't. This was a good game against the Bills. And there was a bad fumble at the end. Our offense looked good in the second half up until that point. And it wasn't Cam Newton who lost us that game with that fumble. It was Josh McDaniels in the offensive play calling. So I'm starting to get more and more skeptical of Josh McDaniels every week. Bill Belichick said it best, though. We sold shop 10 years ago. We got 3 Super Bowls out of it. And now we have nothing to work with. Not an excuse, just the way it is.
Yeah, I think that's very accurate. As a Patriots fan, you guys have been extremely blessed with a tremendous franchise. And then we've seen every single other franchise, like literally every single one of them. The Chiefs may be that exception going forward. Your Super Bowl window, super tight. And once it closes, you suck. And the Patriots are finally experiencing that. And it's honestly just incredible how well they've been. They tried to make work with what Cam Newton had. He got COVID. At that point, you guys were 2-1 when he got COVID, right? So, and then it's gone extremely downhill.
I saw another great tweet where this was just some guy on Twitter, but I think it's fun enough to mention. He said it took your star quarterback getting COVID, 2 game delays, missing a week of practice, and the Bills signing a star receiver to finally beat the Patriots. Like, congratulations, or something like that, which made me laugh. Like, odds were not in our favor this week. The cards have been stacked. It's 7 opt-outs. Things have been stacked against us all season. If Gilmore had been on Diggs, maybe it would have looked different. I don't know. Gilmore's been getting torched all season, so we just simply don't know. We're probably going to trade him tomorrow. Gilmore has put his house up for sale and said he needs all offers in by Tuesday at 5 p.m., which is never a good sign when the trade deadline is Tuesday at 5 p.m. So we'll have to wait and see. But I'm not giving up hope on this Patriot team. I may be starting to give up hope on the division. I'm not giving up hope on a playoff push with these expanded playoffs, though. We could go 8-8 and make playoffs. I think it's possible.
All right.
Dom, let's move to you.
All right. Dolphins. They came off their bye with a game plan, and they absolutely executed it defensively. I don't really think there's any way else to say that. Brian Flores has faced Sean McVay and the Rams twice, once in Super Bowl 53 and this past Sunday in Miami. And his defense has absolutely clamped Sean McVay and Jared Goff and company. It was tough to watch. I honestly felt like I was watching Super Bowl 53. I was over at someone else's place after the game, And of course, he pulls up the stats. He's like, "Oh my gosh, Jared Goff is the worst quarterback ever. He's total garbage." And I'm sitting there in my Rams jersey, and I'm like, "Hey man, how much did you watch that game?" And he says, "None." And I'm like, "Well, yeah." Jared Goff had no time to throw the football. It's not like he looked great. I'm not trying to just like say Jared Goff is good or anything. I think he's a decent quarterback, but had absolutely no time to throw the football. The Dolphins were stunting left and right, which is exactly what the Patriots did in the Super Bowl against the Rams. They were just bringing all-out pressure. Jared Goff had nothing to do. And, I mean, this game was highlighted by Tua, and I get it. I'm a huge fan of Tua. Got to see him play in Miami, actually, at the Orange Bowl. He's truly a special player to watch, but he didn't do anything. His defense and special teams won him the game. They scored 2 touchdowns offensively. One of them was a 1-yard drive because they got a strip sack. The other one was a 3-yard pass, which was a very good pass from Tua. I will give him credit. But their other 2 scores were on a 90-yard strip sack and then a 85-yard punt return touchdown, which was actually the first punt return touchdown of the NFL season. So the Rams defense continues to be absolutely phenomenal, but the Dolphins defense is the lowest scoring defense in the NFL. I don't think a lot of people realize that. This defense is really good. Brian Flores is a really good head coach. And the Miami Dolphins certainly look like a playoff team after losing 3 tough games earlier on in the season. They found their identity as a defensive football team. And I'd say right now they certainly look like a playoff team. We'll see how the offense looks this week. I believe they're in Arizona, and Arizona's defense is certainly not at the caliber level that the Rams defense is. So we'll see how Tua looks. But this Dolphins team is up and coming. I give all the credit in the world to them for beating the Rams.
Yeah, so I mean, I kind of got into it, but I focused more on the Chargers and them not being able to execute more than anything. So there's still some things to talk about. When it came to that win, it was a huge fourth quarter. The offense was firing on all cylinders, and it seemed like Drew Lock finally had time in the pocket because the entire first half was nothing but pressure up in his grill, and he wasn't able to handle it very well, and you can't really blame him for that because there's only so much he can do as far as pocket presence goes, as far as mobility within the pocket, because it was collapsing on him the entire first half. So as soon as the O-line stepped up, that definitely translated to success. They were able to get consistent drives. They're getting the ball down the field. It all started really as far as a momentum turn from Phillip Lindsay's huge 55-yard touchdown run. He saw a little bit of a gap, and he exposed some players at the second level. He made some moves, and he used that blazing speed to get in. And from that point on, there was life. The offense seemed like they could finally get something going. The defense was kind of bend but don't break. They were letting the Chargers go down the field, but they kept holding them to 3. So ultimately, it kept them in the game because they were being able to go punch for punch while also throwing in touchdowns compared to the Chargers' field goals. So it was a great outburst from them offensively. We saw a lot of contributions in the air game. Guys, Sean Hamilton stepping up and having arguably the best game of his career so far in only his second year in the league. You see guys like KJ Hamler coming up big with that touchdown, and Albert O, who's a huge red zone target, who had a touchdown and also threw in that PI that gave them hope and allowed the Hamler touchdown. So it was just a lot of contributions from a lot of different guys. But ultimately, the winning formula, if you want to say, was definitely the offensive line play because it stepped up big time.
Yeah, the Broncos got a big win. Drew Lock played a lot better in the second half. And I'm going to say what Chris Berman said earlier. KJ, Green Eggs, and Hamler with the game-winning touchdown reception, the first of his career, so that's cool. But a big win for them, especially because they've just been steamrolled by injuries all year. Now moving on to the Chiefs. It was a bye week.
The Chiefs are rolling,
bye
baby. The Chiefs are rolling. We killed those 0-7 Jets, and that we look so good. We look so good.
The Patriots will not come close to beating the Jets by 26 points. I don't know why you're talking.
Okay, we'll see.
I would bet with you on that. Honestly, I'm tempted to take the Jets. I am so tempted to take the Jets.
Please do.
I am so tempted because that is how bad the Patriots have looked. But
they looked a lot better against the Bills.
They looked a lot better in the second half. But
they looked a lot better against the AFC East champion Buffalo Bills that you guys speak so highly of.
Because they are.
That's fine, but
I'm
I'm saying you can't say we don't look good if we played a close game against the Bills. I don't understand your logic. Where is the line drawn?
It's a divisional game. I just said you guys look good against them.
Second
I said
half,
it was
they
a
looked
close
really
game.
good.
It's
But
also-
Cam continues to struggle with ball security. And I think that's going to continue to be the downfall if he can't get it together. But I'm going to go back to the Chiefs. It was their bye week. The one thing that I just love to see was you hadn't seen a lot of the deep ball yet, and you saw it. Tyreek Hill, a 44-yard touchdown and a 30-yard touchdown. Great to see him finally have that big game that he hasn't had all year. Kelsey was big. Mecole Hardman had the best game of his career, in my opinion. 6 receptions, 96 yards and a touchdown. It was great to see him really act as that wide receiver too, instead of that guy who sparingly gets receptions and is in for those special plays. So it's nice to see him actually show that he can be a wide receiver too. But I got to give a shout out to Armani Watts. That blocked field goal at the end of the half was awesome. But the defense overall, I was fine with. Ben don't break, gave up 3 field goals. So I was happy with that. I also loved how they went swag surfing at the end of the game to mimic the Jets and what they did in 2017. So that was really cool. But the Chiefs, it was their bye week. They look great, so I'll take it. But
Hold on, question.
Yep.
Was that when Marcus Peters threw the flag into the stands?
no, that was a different game. Different game.
Oh, rats.
Honestly,
Sorry, I
that
just-
would have been the perfect game to do it.
Right. I was just seeing if I remembered that correctly. That wasn't a shot or anything.
Oh, no, you're good.
I'll take my shots later at some point.
Okay, moving on. We have a few trades to break down so far. We have seen 4 trades so far. The first one came as Avery Williamson was traded from the Jets to the Steelers for a 5th-round pick. Do you guys have anything you guys want to say about it?
I think this is a good trade for both sides. I mean, the Jets need to clean house with anyone that has any value remotely that's not a part of their future in 2 to 3 years. And I think Williamson definitely falls under that category. And the Steelers a couple of weeks ago lost Devin Bush. Their defense has still been capable. The Ravens did a good job against them, but Williamson will certainly slot in where Devin Bush was. Now, the thing is, Williamson, I believe, has to miss this upcoming game for the Steelers. Now, they do play the Cowboys. The Cowboys suck, so it's not a huge deal, but I think that's just something to point out for all these trades is they have to sit out.
Yeah, you hit it on the head. It's a big trade for the Steelers because they lost Devin Bush, and the defense has still looked really good, but at some point that could come back and hit them. So that was my main thing with it. Parker, did you have something to say?
Not specifically for that trade. I mean, that's a good pickup when they need to fill that depth. But just for the other trades, I mean, there's a lot of significant names, guys that aren't really having career high years. I mean, you look at Kawan Alexander or Carlos Dunlap. They're not doing what they have in previous years. Kawan especially, who popped off last year before injury. But there's just some quality players that are being moved around, and I think that we should expect to see some more tomorrow.
Yeah, you mentioned him. Quan Alexander traded to the Saints for Kiko Alonso and a 5th-round pick. He signed a 4-year deal last year for $64 million, I believe, with the 49ers, and they traded him away. What do you guys think this does for the Saints moving forward?
Well, their defense has been what's held this team back, despite all the criticism about Drew Brees and how he's not really throwing the ball downfield, which has some merit. It's been the defense that's killed them. And Quan Alexander is one of the fastest linebackers in the league. Now, is he going to be the fastest linebacker in this division? No, because Devin White exists. But Quan Alexander will be a big help in the middle of this defense that's really struggled. I mean, they looked good against the Bears. Once again, you got to take that with a grain of salt because their offense is garbage. But, I mean, you saw the Bears, I think they scored, 23 points throughout the game? Yeah, 23 points. I mean, that's not good. That's the most they've scored in quite some time. So this move will help out their defense for sure. And he's a long-term piece too. It's not just a 1-year thing.
Yeah, I agree. I think this is a good pickup for the Saints. They need help on the defensive side of the ball. And getting a guy like Quan Alexander who's got speed, who can go out in coverage, is big for them. And like you said, he's a long-term piece. They have him for 2 more years after this. And they see something in him because they're willing to take on that cap hit as well. But the next trade, Carlos Dunlap was sent to the Seahawks from the Bengals. Last week, I predicted Ryan Kerrigan to the Seahawks because the Seahawks need pass rush. They get Carlos Dunlap instead. What do you guys think?
It's a good acquisition. I think that being able to beef up that D line, get some rushers, try and get to the quarterback is going to go a long way because this is a defense in Seattle that could definitely hold them back as the season progresses. When you get to the playoffs, your defense needs to be able to step up. I don't care how good Russell Wilson's playing and how good the players around him are. You're going to have to be able to find a reliable defense that you can fall back on when your offense isn't slinging around 4 touchdowns because of a huge MVP case type game from Russell Wilson, because you're not going to get that every single week. You can't expect that out of him. So I think being able to get guys like that can help slowly mold that defense into something just a little bit better than what they had before could definitely go a long way. This seemed like one of those trades where Carlos Dunlap wasn't a name that I saw floating around. It wasn't a name that I had theorized, but just in general, that pass rush helps. So I think that that's a good move by them because he's a quality player, and I think that could definitely help that defense.
Yeah.
If I'm Carlos Dunlap, I don't know if I'm happy or sad about this trade because I'm put in a much better situation in Seattle, obviously. But then, like, I played my whole, how many years? 14 years? With something like that, right?
I think it's 14. It's been a long time, though. He's had a long career.
Right. So he's been with the Bengals for a long time.
But he wanted out, and he said he just wanted out. So I don't think it's as much for him. I think he's just happy to go to a team that's competing, and where he's really needed because that Seattle pass rush is bad, and he's not a big name like he was,
right?
But he's still a good acquisition to help that pass rush that deeply needs someone.
I'm just not exactly sure. Like you said, he's not a big name. He's older. He'll still be good, but that Seahawks defense is very snappy. And I'm not exactly sure. It's a very different defense than he played for in Cincinnati. So we'll see how he adjusts. But overall, I can't call it a bad trade. I mean, it's something they needed. They got a piece they needed. And if he wanted out of Cincinnati, he wanted out of Cincinnati.
So it also depends on the type of player they're going to be getting out of him because it seems like he was almost unmotivated in Cincinnati. You know, they were struggling early on. And at that point, he's been, like you, Pat, you mentioned, he's been in Cincinnati for a long time. He's been through the ups in the regular season and then just getting smoked in the playoffs and losing in really depressing ways like that loss to the Steelers that was just awful. But, I mean, look at the production since 2015, 13.5 sacks, 8 sacks, 7.5, 8, 9. This year he hasn't been that good, but that's just because, like I said, I don't think he's really been motivated to, go out and play. Now that he's on a winning team in Seattle, we'll see if he ups that production a little bit more. I think this has the potential to be a really good trade. As far as I'm concerned, it's only a 1-year thing. Pro Football Reference doesn't have their contracts on it like Baseball Reference does because Baseball Reference is superior. But I think this has the potential to be a good trade. We'll see what type of player he is there. But anything is something in Seattle for their pass rush because it's really bad. I think they only had 4 sacks coming into this week.
He actually is with Seattle through next year.
Oh, okay.
He's a free agent in 2022.
There you go. He's been in the league since 2010 too, Pat. So it's 10 years.
Yeah, I just looked that up too.
But I also want to look at the Bengals side of this because this is a good trade for them. Their line is really bad. And they got BJ Finney, so getting any depth for them on the offensive line is good. So I think that's big for them because they got to protect Burrow somehow. You saw the run he had yesterday where he escaped 4 guys, I think. So he's had to make plays, and they need to upgrade that line. And I think BJ Finney could be a good piece for them. But the last trade I want to talk about, Desmond King was traded from the Chargers, or as Dom says, the C words, to the Titans for a 6th-round pick. Do you guys think that the Titans got a steal?
Yeah, I mean, it's a great trade because they're looking to improve that secondary, and that's a very good way to do it. I believe they gave up, a 6th-round pick to get him? They did not give up much. That's very small draft capital that you're sacrificing. You're a very competitive team in Tennessee. They're seeing the potential aspirations of making another deep run in the AFC. So I like it. Desmond King is a very underrated member of the secondary over there with the Chargers throughout his career. I thought he's put together some very good years, especially back-to-back. This year, obviously not up to the level of play as the previous, but he's still playing at a very high level. So I think being able to insert him into that lineup is definitely going to go a long way, considering how competitive this team has a chance to be come December and January.
Well, and the Chargers didn't have too much leverage in this trade. I mean, at this point, they're 2-5, and they have Desmond King, who's a really good slot cornerback, like one of the best in the league, and he's going to be a free agent after the season. So he doesn't have that much trade value. Now, certainly a trade piece that a team like the Tennessee Titans, who, like I've already mentioned this show earlier, have struggled in the secondary, and now you bring in Desmond King. He's going to lock down that slot guy. I can't picture him doing too much returning on this team. I don't know if Adoree Jackson is healthy, but I know that if he is, that he's certainly one of the best returners in the league, because I know Desmond King is also a very good returner. But if you're the C-words, you have to be pretty pleased. You do get a pick out of a player who's going to be a free agent. Maybe you could have tried to sneak it up for a 5th or maybe 2 7th-round picks, one this year and one next year. But anything is better than nothing. C-words stay losing. Beautiful loss. I haven't really gotten to talk about it. Just beautiful Chargers loss. The classic pass interference at the back of the end zone. It was just so beautiful. And then the little rollout, dump down. Beautiful. And the penalty on the last play. Beautiful. I mean, send them to London, honestly, at this point.
Is that your favorite word, Dom? Beautiful?
I use beautiful to describe a lot of things, Ryan, and you are not one of them. But
Trust me, the feeling's mutual, buddy.
okay. I mean, I do.
You got too much acne.
I do have acne right now. Yes, I got it right here. But anyways, back to football. So, I can't even speak. I think this is a good trade for both sides. I think it's fair. I think Charger fans were over-exaggerating a bit. You got to realize that he is a free agent after the year. And I mean, I think they used like a 4th or 5th round. They used a 5th-round pick on King. They got some good years out of him, and now they turned him into a 6th-round pick. So, I mean, that's a really good value pick, and that's something the Chargers have done over the past couple of years. They just don't win.
This is a good trade. I mentioned last week how the Titans need to trade for someone in the secondary because that's been their weakness this year. And they did that. And especially in the slot, that's where they struggled a lot. And they just got a terrific slot corner in Desmond King. So that's a terrific trade, especially with the uncertain health of Adoree Jackson. This is a big trade for them and upgrades that defense, who really needs one in the secondary. Do you guys have anything else you want to add? Nope.
Let's get into game picks. Let's talk about the past week. I was so bad this week, and Ryan.
Yes, let's talk about game picks. Dom, last week you had a 4-game lead, buddy. What's your game lead on me now?
It is down to 1.
I love how you all thought I was getting last. And I've come from
could still happen. Could still happen.
I've come from
There's
last
plenty of time left in the season.
down by 1 game.
Plenty of time left in the season, Ryan.
Shut up, Pat. You're down in last by 8 games to me, okay? You have no room to talk.
It's not that great right now.
But let's go over the records. Dom is in first, 79, 40, and 1. I'm in second at 78, 41, and 1. Parker is in third at 77, 42, and 1. And then there's Pat. 70, 49, and 1. Pat, do you have anything you'd like to say?
All of the games I was alone on this week came really close to hitting.
You got Atlanta, so I got to give you credit for that pick.
Yeah, I got Atlanta, I got Miami, and everything else didn't hit. So I was alone on...
Pat was alone on 6, and he got 2. So he really didn't lose that much.
Right.
It's really what it comes down to.
So I missed out on New England by that last game-ending drive. Who else was I alone on? I was alone on
the Cowboys.
Which it looked good for a little bit, and then the Eagles just absolutely pulled away.
Benvenucci.
Right.
And then you were also alone on the Bears who went to overtime.
Right. I was alone on the Bears game who
Yeah.
lost in an overtime field goal. I was good on my alone pick. So I'm not even upset about the picks I made because they came a lot closer than I think we expected them to.
And then Detroit lost by 20. But outside of that,
But Detroit, they hung on for a while.
They lost by 20. But the big difference is that Parker's only game where he was alone on hit. They were down by 21, but it did hit.
I know, really, of all the games.
You had it.
That
You
was
had a
big for
chance.
you, Parker.
That was really killer for you. That was what really killed you, Pat, because I mean, you basically had the right pick, and then for the entire game, really.
Yeah.
And then,
literally the entire game.
but that's how the C words work. Ha! Yo, I can't wait. I think it's week 15 they play the Falcons. That's going to be absolutely electric.
Oh, yeah.
Oh
Who
my
can show
gosh.
Carter?
Okay, let's move on. Thursday night, the Packers travel to San Francisco to take on the 49ers, who have just had a horrible day today.
Give me the Pack. Kittle's out. Garoppolo's also looking to be out. Too many injuries, and Green Bay just seems like the healthier team at this point.
Yeah, really interesting game because, like I've already mentioned multiple times this show, Green Bay Packers' run defense sucks. And what is the 49ers' offensive strength? Running the football, yards after catch. But I don't know. It's really hard to take a team without two of their best offensive players. I know Deebo Samuel didn't play against the Seahawks, and I can't imagine he's going to play in this game. So it's really hard to pick the 49ers. For that reason, I'm going to go with the Packers. Really not confident in this pick at all, but hoping that Ryan sides with me.
So I'm actually going to take the 49ers in this one. And I had a strong mental dilemma when picking this game because they still have Brandon Ayuk, who's been a very solid receiver for them. They still have Bourne on their roster. They still have McKinnon. They still have J. Michael Hasty, two solid running backs. And honestly, if they're playing CJ Beathard, Iowa guy, he's not horrible. I mean, he's not great, but he's not, I wouldn't put him too far under Jimmy G. So, too far under him considering the fact that Jimmy G is such a system quarterback. And he literally just plays to fill his role. I don't think CJ Beathard or Jimmy G are going to be any more flashy than one another. So without George Kittle, it's going to be hard because he's such an important piece of that offense. But we'll see how the game goes. I'm taking the 49ers.
Dom, who do you think I'm picking here?
I don't know. Look, I feel like you're going to take the Packers.
I know.
Yeah.
And it's because Kittle, mainly. If it was just Garoppolo, I probably would have gone with the Niners.
I love being
But
alone. I'm glad.
Since Kittle is out for the next 8 weeks, he's just such a big piece of that offense that I don't know if they can replace him. So I am going to go with the Packers.
I love
Moving on to the AM games.
I don't think being alone on that game's a bad thing, Pat. I mean, like I said, I'm not really confident in that pick. Thursday night games have been pretty close this year.
Mm-hmm.
And the 49ers are a very capable team. So we'll see.
Moving on to the AM games. First one, Denver travels to Atlanta.
I'm going to go Denver, but this is a game where it's really going to come down to whether or not they're the second half team that they were against the Chargers. Again, the Chargers contributed to a lot of that success with their miscues. But if they can show up the way they did and carry over success, I think they win. But should they not, Falcons look like they'll win this game. We'll go with Denver. We'll see which team we get.
Yeah, another game I'm not really confident in. I mean, I could see this game going either way. And, looking at it, the Falcons played on Thursday night, so they're going to be a little bit more rested than the Denver Broncos are. That's really the only reason I'm going to pick the Falcons here. This game could go either way, to be completely honest.
Yeah, I'm going to take the Falcons here. I picked them last week, and it paid off. I think that they're going to have or an extra long week of practice, and I have confidence in this team. They're too good a team to be losing like they are. So I'm going to take the Falcons.
I'm going to take the Broncos. The end to last week's game gives me a lot of confidence in them. The line played a lot better. The secondary played a lot better. And they're not going up against this good of a pass rush in Atlanta. So I'm going to take Denver in this one. And it looks like this could be the game that ties me up with Dominic.
I mean, there's a lot of morning games, so like you can say that, but like it was because you got both morning games right that I got wrong that made that. Because if we split them, then we're even, and then I'd have a 3-game lead instead of a 1-game lead if I got one of those. I didn't, and that's why you're 1 game back.
You know, guys should have taken the Steelers with me, but I was happy that I was alone on that one. But moving on, I think this is going to be the best game in the morning window. Seahawks travel to Buffalo to take on the Bills.
Bills.
All right, we got a Bills. I'm going to take the Seahawks here. The Bills' offense is what carried the team through the first half of the season to their, I believe, 4-0 start. Ever since then, the offense has been extremely lackluster, especially the past 2 weeks against the Jets and then the Patriots. And we all know the Seattle Seahawks offense is elite. Now, the Seahawks do struggle in morning games on the East Coast. I'm still going to take the Seahawks here, though. It's more of me trusting Russell Wilson over Josh Allen.
You know, I think I would rather pick the Banded Brothers, our flag football team from last year, before I picked the Buffalo Bills. So I'm going to take the Seattle Seahawks this week.
The Buffalo Bills have 6 wins in the National Football League. We had 0 wins in Division II flag football at Arizona State University downtown.
Okay, so let's be fair, it was Division III. And also, I didn't say I would rather pick them based on skill. I would just rather pick them before I pick the Buffalo Bills out of my own pride.
Anyways, good pick. Good pick. Good pick.
I'm going to take the Seahawks as well. I just trust Russell Wilson more than Josh Allen. He did not play particularly well against the Bills. Against the Patriots. My bad, but he just hasn't looked at the past few games, so I'm going to go with the Seahawks. Next game, Chicago travels to Tennessee, who's trying to bounce back after 2 straight losses.
Tennessee.
Yeah, it's going to be a really low-scoring game. I think Tennessee and Derrick Henry are going to run the ball effectively enough to beat the Bears. And I think everyone realizes at this point the Bears are not as good as their record says, but this game is really going to signify that as the Bears fall to 5-4.
Pat?
I'm probably going to take the Bears in this one. You know,
I knew you were going to do that. I knew it.
I'm just doing it to do it. If I'm being 100% honest with you. But I'm going to take the Bears. I'm going to take the Bears.
I'm taking the Titans. I think they're going to bounce back. So, Titans in this one. Next one.
Thing is, let me be clear.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm a big Titans supporter. I really like watching the Titans play. But A, because of Mike Vrabel, big Pats guy. B, I love Derrick Henry. How could you not? C, I'm glad Ryan Tannehill's out of the AFC East and showing his true potential. So I do like the Titans. This isn't Titan slander. I'm taking the Bears in a desperate attempt to try to make up a game.
So you're not even picking games at this point. You're trying to get points.
That's what Ryan did last year.
That's exactly what I did last year, and it dug me into a deeper hole.
We'll see. I mean, go Bears. Da Bears.
Bear down.
Pat, I'm telling you right now, I did this last year, and it came back to bite me in the rear end, and I barely snuck into third at the end of it.
Yeah, you had one bad week, and that puts you out of it.
Yeah. So, moving on, the Lions travel to Minnesota.
Lions.
Oh, this game sucks.
Eating that after baby.
Yeah, this game sucks, man. I haven't looked into it much, and I also know that Kenny Galladay is not going to be playing. I'm still gonna take the Lions. Not confident in it. Wouldn't be surprised if Ryan goes to the Vikings here to try and steal a game from me, which would be a good pick. The Lions' rush defense is also better than the Vikings' rush defense, and the Lions also aren't playing Thursday Night Football the week after, so they won't be game planning for that. I'm going to take the Lions in this one. Divisional game is going to be so close. Could go either way.
Fresh photos with the bomb lighting. New man on the Minnesota Vikings. Give me the Vikings in this one.
That was great. I kind of hope they win just for that.
No, Parker, absolutely not.
Hey, Dom, who do you think I'm taking, buddy?
Of course.
You're taking the Vikings. I'm sure you are.
Yes, I am. I'm taking the Vikings. Go Vikes!
Go.
Go Vikes! Put me in first
We got to
place.
speed this along. I left my laptop charger in Arizona, and I have 5% battery left. So
Okay,
Yeah,
let's do it. Let's do it.
Very close thing.
Let's go. Ravens at Indianapolis.
Ravens. I think they bounce back. I like I liked how the Colts have looked. The Colts look good. They obviously dominated the Lions, but I think the Ravens win this one.
Another tough game. Jeez. I'm gonna take the Ravens. It's gonna be close. It's gonna be a great game.
I am with 100% confidence taking the Indianapolis Colts.
I'm taking the Ravens. I think they're going to bounce back.
I'm alone on almost every game this week.
Hey, I went with you on the Vikings.
That's true, you did.
No,
Okay.
and then someone else went with you on the 49ers.
Nope.
Nope, I'm alone.
Nope. Next
Oh,
up,
the
Panthers travel to Kansas City.
Chiefs.
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 All right, I like it. Quick. Woo!
Yeah. New York travels to Washington and take on the football team.
Give me the football team.
I'm taking the football team.
coming off their bye, they're gonna be ready.
Give me the Giants. Give me the Giants.
It's gonna backfire the way it did.
Of all the games to be alone on,
I think the Giants are going to win this week's game. They looked good tonight. I think they're going to do the same thing.
That's what they do.
The Bucks were so clearly preparing for the New Orleans Saints. They were so clearly playing for the New Orleans Saints.
I don't care. I trust that defense. That secondary is actually pretty good.
Yeah, they have a good defense. I've said that all year.
I'm going with the Giants in this one. This
Okay.
could be the one that kills me, but I have full faith in the Giants for once. So, Danny Dimes, don't screw me over.
Oh, he will. Actually, he might not. Evan Ingram might, though. I'll never get over that. I'll forever have a hatred for him for that one play where, woo, right in the fingertips.
Okay, next up, Texans travel to Jacksonville to take on the Minshew Mania-less Jaguars.
Give me Deshaun Watson. I'll take Texans.
Yeah, I mean that's what it comes down to. I'm trying to look at who they're starting. Right, I know it's the guy who went to Oregon State,
yeah.
but I want to get his
Jake Luton.
yeah Luton.
Hmm.
He wasn't bad in college, but I mean it's either him or Deshaun Watson. I mean,
Right.
I'm gonna take Deshaun Watson.
I look forward to watching the Jags play this week. I do. However, I'm not picking them. Give me the Houston Texans in this game.
Give me the Texans. I don't trust the Jaguars whatsoever. Next up, the Raiders travel to the T-word.
Give me the Raiders. The real question here is, do the Chargers build a double-digit lead only to blow it? So, go Raiders.
Divisional game, C words. You know who I'm going with? The RAIDERS Raiders. Let's go. They're gonna beat them up. Welcome to Las Vegas. Destroy Los Angeles. Do it.
Can we talk about the comment from Ethan Ryder? Ryan told me all night Daniel Jones looks like trash.
Hey, he looked
He
like
just
trash
said
in
he
the
has
second half.
full confidence in him.
Hey, he looked like trash in the second half until the end.
Let's
Let's go, Danny Dimes. Let's go, baby.
All right. We can fight about this all night, but I do have 4% battery left.
Yeah, I'm so low.
I am going to take the Los Angeles Chargers in this game. I want Justin Herbert to start winning football games. So let's see it.
Pain to watch you just hurt yourself even more.
I'm
taking the
genuinely
Raiders.
think They're going to win. I would have made that pick even if I wasn't in such a basement.
I'm taking the Raiders in this one. Next up, Steelers at Cowboys.
Steelers.
Easy.
And Danucci. No, I'm kidding. I'll take this.
Steelers in this one. Miami travels to Arizona.
What a game.
Really good game.
I'm going to go Kyler Murray and what he's been able to do. But this one's tough with that Miami defense. I'm interested in seeing how Tua does. It's the first and a second-year quarterback going at it. Two very highly regarded prospects going into the league. Should be a very good game.
I can't pick Tua without seeing him succeed against an NFL defense first. I will take the Cardinals. Going to be a fantastic game out here.
I don't like picking the Miami Dolphins Stop smiling. I don't like picking Miami Dolphins because they're in my division. I picked them last week. It paid off for me with flying colors. So this week I'm going to take the Dolphins again.
I am sincerely thinking about taking the Dolphins, but I can't. I trust Kyler Murray and Hopkins and the Cardinals after their bye. I'm going to go the Cardinals. Next up, Sunday night. It's going to be a terrific game. Saints travel to Tampa Bay.
We'll go Buccaneers.
Yeah, I think the Buccaneers had the privilege of being able to overlook the Giants while the Saints had to actually play a decent team in the Chicago Bears. I think they've been planning for this game. Tampa Bay needs to win this game because if New Orleans takes this game, they're all of a sudden ahead of them with the series win, beating them twice. I think Tampa Bay needs to get this win. I think Tom Brady's going to come out. He's going to look better than he did against the Giants tonight. This is also a way worse defense that they're going up against. Give me the Bucs.
Yeah, I don't necessarily blame Tom Brady for the performance tonight. I almost more blame his O-line tonight. The Giants' rush defense pass rush looked really good for some reason.
Giants, baby.
Okay, buddy. Yeah, I'm gonna take the Buccaneers here, though. I don't think that happens 2 weeks in a row. I think Tom Brady probably went in and individually went down the line and slapped every single one of his offensive linemen. So, Buccaneers. Yeah, we're here.
Give me the Saints.
Say it faster, dude.
Yeah, I started out predicting that Ryan was going to pick the Saints.
I'm taking the Saints. They're probably going to get Michael Thomas back. Hopefully, Emmanuel Sanders. Give me the Saints. I have faith in Drew Brees.
You know, if I knew for sure right now they were going to play, I absolutely would. But those are two big question marks.
I am trusting the Saints. This is a risky week, but finally, Monday night, New England Patriots. Wow.
New York Patriots.
Wow. New England Patriots take on the Jets in MetLife.
Give me the Patriots.
Oh, I want to do it so bad.
Yeah, go back to the.
I do. I really do. I'm not going to though. I can't do it.
No,
if Ryan takes the Jets and they win, he deserves to win the pick'em pool. I'll take the Patriots.
Do it.
Give me New England, baby.
Huh? This is tough.
It is really tough because
So tough.
you look at the Jets' schedule, and it's so hard to go 0-16 in the National Football League. Now it's harder to go 16-0. I will say that, but looking at the Jets' schedule, there's not that many more games they can win on their schedule. They do play the C-words the following game. Pray to God they win that game. I'm picking the Jets in that game, by the way. Full disclosure. But I mean, the Patriots are certainly on the short list of games that the Jets can win. So if you want to pull the trigger on the Jets, this isn't a bad week to do it.
I'm really thinking about it, but I have too many games that can screw me over this week.
Yeah, tell me about it, dude. I could be like 12 games behind from third place after this week.
I want to maintain in second, so I'm going to take the Patriots in this one. I swear if the Jets win and I do this, I will punch something. I might put a hole in my wall. But
That'll be fun.
for once,
No, you're not.
Patriots. Go Patriots, I guess.
I mean, we're not rooting for the Patriots in this game.
You can't see that on radio. I was like, can I do this? I can't see this on radio, baby.
Yeah, that's true. Like, I mean, YouTube's one thing, but like that's like its own independent thing. So
Let's
like,
get banned from YouTube because of you, Pat. Pat!
I hope you get demonetized.
If you punch something, it'll probably be me.
yes, Ethan. There's a good chance it will be.
Ethan, it will not be you.
No, there are some really good games on this week's slate, and I mean, like there are some games that involve just absolute garbage fire games, and they just suck for us to pick because someone's going to be wrong in them, and it's like, hey, this game doesn't even matter, but I'm losing a point in them. We'll see. Going to be another great week of football. Can't wait.
Do you think I'm taking first place this week?
Who?
Do you think I'm going to overtake first place?
No, I hope not. I mean, like I picked the games because I think my teams are going to win.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that.
Really dumb question. Now, I mean, Parker could pass you. I mean,
Parker's
at the
not
same,
passing me. I am going to
Does
take first place here this week.
Oh, please be a freezing cold take like last year.
because I mean, you got to remember this,
Hey,
Ryan.
here's a new year. I'm coming back. I'm taking first.
Because Ryan, you got to remember, I got all 3 games wrong in which we picked against each other. The same thing could just as easily happen to you. Now it could happen to me again. We're different on 3 games. We're over an hour at this point, but I mean, you can edit that.
Yeah, my laptop is hanging on for dear life right now.
Yes. So I mean, we'll see how this week goes. I mean, Thursday Night Football, we could be tied, or I could have a 2-game lead.
We'll see.
Wait, no, you have Packers. You have Packers. Whatever.
It's the first AM game that could do it.
Correct.
They are all at the same time.
The first one we picked.
No, it's the
Dingus.
first one, Dom. Dom, it's the first one.
Pat,
No,
talk to
Dom,
me when you
it's
get out of last place.
it's the first AM.
Okay.
Imagine muting my mic.
Okay.
Imagine me being that. Imagine being my head. Imagine being that and that you have to mute my.
Yo, it's all about the timing. You got to get the timing of the syllables down.
Okay.
Imagine being that in. Mute my mic.
Okay. That's going to conclude this episode of the 4-3 show. Thank you to everyone who has somehow stuck with us. Have an enjoyable week watching NFL football. We will be back next week. Enjoy.